everybody, welcome to Sprague Woodturning. My name is Jim. In this video we're actually going to cover a new finish. So I've been waiting for this to come in stock. I finally have some, and it's the Mohawk salad bowl finish. It says right on the can that it is food safe. So this video we're actually going to do a review of this, and if it performs any well as good as the old General Finishes salad bowl finish, this is the new finish that I'll be moving forward with. Now what am I going to put it on? I'm going to use it on this. This is a piece of curly maple, tiger stripe maple, whatever you want to call it. It does have some issues, some really bad ring shakes here on both end grain. So we're going to have to actually cut this down. And what we're going to do for an inlay is to use the finely ground mussel shells. And I know that we've covered mussel shells before on the channel, but the finely ground mussel shells have a complete different look than the coarse ground mussel shells, and I'll show that later on in the video as well. So if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so, and of course anytime you give my videos a thumbs up, that certainly helps out as well. And don't forget social media, that's also very important these days. So let's get this on the lathe, get it trimmed up, cut a groove, and get our first coat of Mohawk salad bowl finish on it. All right, so if you're wondering what the tape is for, this heartwood of this bowl is just not really the best. It's got some cracks down in here. Hard to see. So what I do is, I'll start on the outside. The reason this is taped off is this to simulate the heartwood and the sapwood. And I'll just take the thin CA glue. You need to use the thin. This is the Starbond stuff. There's a link in the description for 15% off your next order. And I just lay it on here. And this simulates heartwood, and it also hardens up all of those areas. Now this has been sanded to 180, and if you get a glue run on this, it's actually going to really stain this. So that's why this is taped off. But here's some cracks right here that I'm going to fill in. And yeah, you know, I could have cut these out and did inlays in them. Sometimes it's best to just leave it like this. There, then I'll just use the accelerator to set it in place. Careful that it doesn't run inside. That's not good. Luckily, that's okay there. And again, it might be a little hard to see, but there's small little micro cracks here in this little area here that really needs to be filled in. Sorry, I'm trying to keep this from running, and I know you guys want to see this too. There, so now the majority of this will get sanded away, and you might not even notice it. But if it doesn't, it will simulate heartwood, and of course this will be the sapwood on the outside. Now on the inside I don't bother taping. I just kind of pick a line. Again, I'm trying to do this. I just kind of follow it with the glue. There, that mimics pretty much the outside as well. Again, you've got these cracks here. And of course, after we cut the groove and put the inlay in there, there's a chance that if these cracks aren't filled, that the glue will weep out into the bowl. So that's another reason why I'm doing this. Again, this is the thin CA glue, super glue. This is what you can't use anything else. There, just let that soak in for a second. And then hit her with the accelerator. There. For a little bit of added security, I'm just going to run a little bit on the top here. And if we haven't filled the crack totally, hopefully that will wick down in it and fill it. Okay, so here we go. First time use of the Mohawk salad bowl finish. Right off the bat, one of the big differences, this is the Mohawk, and this is the General Finishes salad bowl finish. And there is quite a difference in color. So we'll see if that affects anything. I find that customers don't really have an issue with darker woods anyway. Darker woods always seem to sell better than lighter woods. That's just been my experience. So I'm going to put this on heavy just like I would any other finish when I'm doing these bowls. I will do the groove as well. And of course the reason why I'm doing the inside of this groove is because I don't want any glue wicking through and staining the end grain on this bowl. So there you go. I mean, stuff looks pretty good to me. It is only the first coat. I was hoping to get this done earlier today and then put the inlay in it today as well, but just too late in the day for that now. See that tiger stripe? Anyway, I'll put this in my clean room and we will put the inlay in it tomorrow. Well, it's the next day. While we're waiting for the shop to warm up here, I heat with wood heat. It was actually minus 29 with the wind chill this morning, so that's Celsius. So takes a little bit for the shop to warm up. Anyway, we're gonna put the inlay in. So if you've been here before, you've seen me use these mussel shells. And this is the coarser material. And what I do after I smash the stuff all up with a hammer, I use a sieve. And you end up with this kind of material. Very fine. Now the two of them, when they're inlaid, have total different looks. So what I'm going to do is just going to go around here. Fill this up. Then I'm going to knock on the side, just with a screwdriver handle. That knocks the material down. I'm just going to take my finger and lightly push into the groove. And that way it creates a little gully like this for the glue to rest in while waiting for it to sink in. All this extra material will get caught on this piece of paper and I'll be able to dump this out into the container as well, so it's not going to waste. So I'm going to give this another tap. Now the material is sitting below the surface of the wood and I'll be able to pour the glue in there and hopefully we don't get any spilled in there. If we do, it's not a big deal because we now of course have that finish on there. I'm going to bring in for a closer look. So anyway, this is what I'm referring to, and it will, as you can see, there's like a little area for the glue to sit as it wicks through the inlay. And of course, we're going to be going with Starbond Thin. To do these inlays, you have to use thin CA glue. So there, you can see the inlay is now wet. It almost looks like there's water sitting on top of it, and that's exactly what I want to do. I want it to be like that, and that way if there's any voids below this, it will slowly wick in. I'll let this sit for about 10 or 15 minutes, and after that, I'll use the Accelerate on it to cure this, and then I can dump all this material out and then reuse it. So Once that's set, we'll get back on the lathe, sand this back, and then do another filling. This stuff usually only takes a couple times to fill. It actually fills quite nicely. So anyway, we'll see you back on the lathe. All right, so this is the second filling. Just going to drop a little bit on here. If you're curious, from when I inlaid that this morning until I just sanded it back, it's roughly 3 hours. I probably could have done it sooner. That way the thin CA had a good chance to wick through the inlay. And like I said, it depends. A lot of times you can get away with doing this just twice. So hopefully that's what we've got today. There, that's got a good bead of glue on it. Anyway, I filled this up this morning. We used about 1 ounce of glue so far. No, not even that. Maybe 1/3 of an ounce. And I always get the glue in 16-ounce bottles and then transfer it into these bottles. I just find it's more cost effective that way. Anyway, I'm going to let this sit for a couple minutes, hit it with the accelerator, we'll get it back on the lathe, sand it back, and hopefully this will be the last filling. Okay, so this is the second coat of the Mohawk salad bowl finish. Really, it's probably technically the first because I sanded away most of the first coat that we had on there. That's all right. There should be some still embedded in the wood. Yes, it definitely appears to be thicker, that's for sure. Pretty beautiful grain in there. But looking at that, I would say that probably one more coat will probably do it. All right, so we're getting ready to put the, well, technically the third coat, but it's more like the second coat on. I just wanted to point something out. I'll zoom the camera in here. You see here, it's actually pretty streaky. So I'm going to take the Triple E buffing pad and buff this and see what it looks like. I think that this will probably buff out with that, and then we'll put the last coat on. I think the last coat anyway. Anyway, that's next. The finish is very streaky. It's very thick, and it was sitting out here in the cold all night too, so that's not going to help anything. So anyway, we'll see what that looks like after it cures, and we'll go from there. All right, so here's where we're at. I'm going to try and put this so you can see it. Anyway, the finish is streaky, and the problem is it's so thick that I can't get it to lay flat after you've wiped it on. So what I'm going to do, what I've already done, I've just taken a little bit, put it in this cup, and I've added 5% mineral spirits to its volume. Now, this has already got mineral spirits in it, so that really shouldn't be an issue. It does say on the can not to thin, but I can't get this to lay flat after it goes on, so I want to see if this is going to work, and if this works, then, well, why not use it? I should also mention that I'm going to buff with Triple E and then flatten out all that finish that's on there, and then we'll apply the thinned out finish. Okay, so hopefully this is the last coat. Well, that's pretty shiny there. I mean, I put that on, I wasn't happy with the streaking again, and when I wiped it off, it's not too bad. We might have something there. Anyway, we'll see what it's like tomorrow. We'll give it a quick buff with the white diamond and get this video finished up here. Well, that's it. Let's talk about our bowl and the finish. So, again, this is finely ground mussel shells in curly maple. As you can see, it's nice and shiny. There's the bottom. Love that curly maple. It's actually a really pretty piece of wood. Okay, so the finish. The only real knock that I've got on this finish is that I can't get it to lay flat. And even when you wipe it on and you wipe the majority of it off, you're still seeing all kinds of streaks in it. So I don't know if that's a normal thing with this finish. I do plan on cutting it by 10% with mineral spirits next time, trying to get it to lay flat. Think about using polyurethane with a brush, and then you look at it afterwards and you still got all your brush marks in it. That's kind of what I'm dealing with. It's a really hard finish. Buffing this with Triple E and buffing the General Finishes wood bowl finish with Triple E, this is actually harder than that, or it certainly appears that way. And as you can see, it's got plenty of gloss for me. It's probably not quite as glossy as the General Finishes stuff is, but you know, that's fine. That's still a very glossy bowl. It is drying in the can or in that squeeze bottle really fast. overnight. Sometimes there was a skim coat on the very top of it, and I've put a barrier on top of that, so it shouldn't be getting any oxygen, but for whatever reason, it seems to be curing faster. Maybe if it was left in the can, it's not going to cure as fast. I don't know. If you actually use the Mohawk finish, please comment down below and tell me if you're cutting it with anything or your experience with it anyway. And hey, please leave a comment on the bowl because it's a beauty. So anyway, we're going to take this in. The first time I've ever used a friction polish with an oil finish like that. That's the first time I've ever done it, and it was done here on the channel. So after the third coat went on, I still was having issues. So, you know, I said, okay, I'm going to take that Triple E and buff that back and then just do like a friction polish. I originally was going to try and put on a fourth coat and just have a look at it. But, you know, I just couldn't get rid of them streaks. So anyway, I used it like a friction polish, and you know what? This thing is silky smooth. It is really, I've almost dropped this thing twice. It's so smooth. And the great thing about doing finishes like that, after you buff with the Triple E, it'll take all the dust and bits out of the previous finish. And then of course, when you do the friction polish with that, then you know what? It comes off dry and there's no chance of getting any material embedded in the finish. So it's great that way. I'm not done with this finish. I've still got a lot of exploring to do with it. But anyway, I want to see by cutting it, hopefully that'll sort out our issues. So I got a sticker here from Brickhouse CraftWorks from Seth. So I'm going to put his details down below. Please go by his channel and check him out. Wall space is at a premium here in the shop, so I'm probably actually going to put these on my fridge counts because I don't really have any other wall space to stick them. So that's what's going to be, and of course I'm going to send them back one of mine. I don't know if you've seen them on my lathe or not, but anyway, I'll start sending out stickers. So anyway, thanks Seth for your sticker, and I certainly put your details down below. And don't forget about the links to Starbond, sandpaper.ca, and of course Designer Epoxy for your for your discount codes down below in the description. So please check them out. And I guess that's it. So I don't know what we're going to do next week. Hopefully another resin project. So make sure you come on back for that. And until then, take care, stay safe. Don't forget that thumbs up. Don't forget that bell. And we'll see you next week.